does the author reveal his message through the captain's relationships? In this lesson, you will learn how to analyze the meaning of a text by comparing different characters' points of view. Let's review. We are reading O Captain, My Captain by Walt Whitman. This poem is about a ship returning from a journey and discovering that the captain is dead. As readers, we know that the meaning of a text is molded and influenced by the characters' perspectives. What I mean is, when there are multiple characters, each character has their own view of what is occurring in a text. A common mistake that some people make is that they read a text really quickly or only one time and think they were able to see all the author put there to see. They forget that if there are multiple characters, there are multiple points of view that are impacting the meaning of the text, and those multiple perspectives can't be fully understood in a quick or one-time read. Because of that, they really miss out on all there is to discover about a text. If we read a text while considering only one character's point of view, we will get a one-sided view of the story. When we take time to consider both points of view, we begin to have a complete understanding of what is happening in a text. So in this lesson, we are going to reread the text to look at how differences in points of view can impact the meaning of a text. When we want to analyze the impact that differences in point of view have on meaning, we can follow these 3 steps. 1. Identify each character's point of view on the situation in the text. 2. Ask, how did the characters' points of view compare? And 3. Ask, how do the characters' points of view impact the meaning of the text? So here's my question. How does the author reveal his message through the captain's relationships? Step 1 in analyzing word choices is to identify each character's point of view on the situation in the text. Having read this poem through at least one time already, we know that there are really only 2 characters' points of view represented in this poem, the narrator and the crowd. With that in mind, we can begin to reread the poem looking for information that will tell us what each character perceives during this poem. Let's read the first stanza and take notes on each point of view as we go. O Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every wreck, the prize we sought is won. I'm going to pause. I noticed the words my, our, and we in these first 2 lines. These words really show belonging. The captain belongs to the narrator. He is his own personal leader. Let's continue. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. Let's pause again here. Now I notice these lines. They give me some insight into the crowd's point of view. First, the crowd is only near. They are not on the ship. They are a bit distant from the action of what is occurring on the ship as it enters port. We also know that they are celebrating the return because they are exulting, and also because they have gathered to watch the return of the ship. Let's finish reading the stanza now. But oh heart, 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 oh the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, falling cold and dead. The line, oh heart, 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 stands out to me. I know the heart represents emotion, so I think this line really shows the narrator's depth of emotion, of grief and sorrow over discovering his captain has fallen. Let's continue with stanza 2 now. O Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills. For you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores a-crowding. For you they call the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Okay, let's pause here. Look at the words in line 1 and 2. Rise up. Rise up is what the narrator is saying to the captain. He really wants him to get up, to be alive. Now look at all of the yous. When I read that, I was thinking that our note from the first stanza wasn't exactly right after all. We wrote that the crowd was celebrating the return of the ship. I now think, based on stanza 2, that they were really celebrating the return of the captain himself. It's for him that the flag is flung, the bugle trills, and so on. Come to think of it, to be that excited about someone coming back really shows what a respected and celebrated leader he is. They are eagerly awaiting his return. Okay, let's continue with the rest of the stanza. Here, Captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. I noticed the word father. In our last lesson, we talked about how this word surprised me and made me wonder if the captain was his father. But then we considered that a father and a captain do have some similarities. I think it's safe to say that the narrator is expressing that the captain was at least a father figure to him, and that they had a close relationship. Further proof that they had a close relationship is in the next line. This arm beneath your head. He's holding the dead captain closely, embracing him. This is something you really would only do for someone important and close to you. Let's move on to the final stanza. My captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. Let's pause here. Look at those first two lines. What I notice here are the specific details of the dead captain. He is closely observing his pale lips, his lack of feeling, and his lack of a pulse. This again shows how close he is to the captain. Let's finish reading the poem now. Exult, O shores, and ring, O bells, but I with mournful tread walk the deck, my captain lies, fallen, cold, and dead. I notice in this line that the crowd is still rejoicing. This shows me that they are not close enough to the action to realize that the captain has died. As far as they are concerned, it is still time to party. I also notice the next line. While the crowd is busy celebrating, the narrator is mourning. He deeply feels the pain of the loss of his captain. Let's take a look at step 2. So now that I've identified each character's point of view, what I want to do is ask, how do the characters' points of view compare? Here are all of the notes I took for the crowd's point of view, and here are all of the notes I took for the narrator's point of view. Well, when I look at the crowd's point of view, I notice two things. They are far away, and they celebrate throughout the poem. In my mind, I see them off in the distance celebrating. When I look at the narrator's point of view, several things stand out. First, he has a close relationship with the captain. Second, he discovers his dead captain. And third, he is deeply saddened by the captain's death. In my mind, I see him right next to his dead captain in deep mourning over his passing. These 2 points of view are a pretty stark contrast. One is very positive, and one is very negative. So this brings us to step 3. Now we need to ask, how do the characters' points of view impact the meaning of the text? Here is what I envisioned after step 2. Now let's imagine if we only had the crowd's point of view in this poem. If we look at this experience from the crowd's perspective, we really focus only on the joy and excitement of the captain's return. We completely miss the realization that the captain has died. Okay, now let's switch it. If we look at this experience from only the narrator's perspective, we might drown in sorrow over the captain's death and completely miss the excitement of victory. The 2 points of view together really provide us with a complete and clear picture of the scene. There is both excitement and joy, and sorrow and mourning. So, back to our question. How does the author reveal his message through the captain's relationships? The crowd's relationship with the captain is distant, but they are clearly celebrating the return of a respected leader, as is revealed in lines such as, "For you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills." This is different from the narrator because the narrator has a close relationship with the captain. In the poem, he calls him father twice and mourns deeply as he discovers his death. These different relationships reveal that there are 2 sides of the story in this poem, both joy at their return and sorrow over the captain's death. Through these relationships, we get a complete picture of this message. Let's review the steps we took to analyze the impact different points of view have on the meaning of a text. 1. Identify each character's point of view. 2. Ask, how do the characters' points of view compare? And 3. Ask, how do the characters' points of view impact the meaning of the text? In this lesson, you have learned how to analyze the meaning of a text by comparing different characters' points of view.